Heyo everybody, Monkey Puzzle here, and I am back with a little bit of Dark and Light. Brand new game, so I'm binging on it a little bit, just having a little fun. Don't worry, Ark will be back very soon, but here I'm showing you my elf character, and I've put about 44 hours into the elf. I haven't shown you him yet, and about 15 hours into the dwarf. The dwarf which I play on TV. So yeah, the elf looks like this. I can take his helmet off so you can see his beautiful blue hair, which is backlit right now. But yeah, he's tall and kind of purple complected and blue hair, but none of that really matters. The thing I want to show you today is about surviving, especially near a meteor drop. I don't know if one will happen in the course of this video. I kind of hope so, even though I don't really, because I want to show you what we're up against. But right over here somewhere, we've put a foundation. We were trying to block the meteor spawn or the drop. They come down. We might see one in the sky somewhere. But they basically are pieces of wreckage from Gaia up there, our home planet, which was destroyed by evil forces. And every once in a while, some of those little pieces fall to the earth here, and they bring bad things. It depends how bad. There are some events with red skies where really bad things come, but generally it's going to be in the form of a Grim Reaper or a skeleton. So both of those can do quite a bit of damage. So behind me there is the Elfin Keep, of which I forget the name, but that's the elf town that you spawn in. And I just came this far because I liked being near the town and I liked being near this lake. This isn't my house here. This is B-Fun's. I actually settled a little further down, and he settled here not knowing I was there. So we have a whole little neighborhood here. Anyway, this is practically abandoned by him, or it pretty much is. He's about to take it apart, but I wanted to show you. I asked him to leave it up because I wanted to show you the progression of what we went through trying to survive here. So this is a wood house. Obviously, we start with thatch. So the names are different here. The thatch is called shabby. The wood, I think, is just called wood or simple. And then the stone right here is called firm. So different names, but basically the same stuff, a bit of different modeling. The main difference with these is that the thatch has 5,000 HP. The simple or the wooden has 7,500. And the stone has, this one has 15,000. I think the walls have 10,000. These have 10,000, so I forget what the thatch foundations have, but the difference, if you're an Ark player with these, is that the different tiers of building materials are not proof against certain mobs. It's not like you get to stone and then things can't hurt it. In fact, stone is really only twice as good as thatch, and wood is in between, so everything can damage your house, as far as I can tell. At least the real bad guys that come down from these meteors do. So we built these thinking, well, if we're out of line of sight, maybe we'll be okay. But we've literally had all our stuff destroyed. Like, I've had it happen to me about 3 times. A couple times when I was online, and one time when I was offline. And of course, the offline was the worst. If you're here when a meteor drops, and if you have screen shake on, you feel a little earthquake. And then even without that, you can hear it. And pretty soon after the meteor drops, sometime while it's there, those bad guys will show up. So the skeletons do quite a bit of damage. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they'll come up and start whacking on your house if they can't whack on you. And the Grim Reaper dude, who, they're both in the category of the Dark Fallen. The Grim Reaper has several names, but we're just going to call him a Grim Reaper. I think he also goes by Wraith. So the difference is the Wraith, the Grim Reaper, when you come out, that guy can just one-hit you. It's really difficult to fight it, and it's very fast. The best tactic, if you don't think you can fight it, is you run for town over there, and the guards kill it. If you do a combination of a cobweb, and then you get the lightning bolt on your staff, see? Do I have it there already? No. Oh, I have to be out of here to do that. There we go. You might have a decent chance at killing him if you can slow him down and do that, but it is difficult. It's really a challenge. So the Grim Reaper will come up, and they have quite a giant AoE, and they'll start bashing on your house too. And it's just a matter of time until the walls come down, unless you can distract them away. And then they'll break all your chests and your workbench and everything. And things do drop satchels, and you have a certain amount of time for the satchels to despawn. But if you don't make new chests and grab everything over after you've somehow figured out what to do with the wraith, that's it. And it keeps happening and happening. Now, you may be lucky enough to live in a place where that doesn't happen, but for us, we are right next to the meteor spawn. And rather than get away from it, what I wanted to do was actually learn how to face it as a challenge, because I like challenges. I like a game that is that brutal. So trying to work with it. So you can see there's another level we went to where basically over in my cottage over there, I started placing just wood pillars all the way around it. Here they're called simple columns, just to be a buffer, because most of these guys are pretty big. They can't get through this space, and they had to whack these before they can whack the house. Be Fun also has a simple barrier here that is, was a stopgap when this got broken. So yeah, this helped a bit, putting the column. So if you're just at the thatch level or whatever, I definitely recommend you do this, because it gives you a little time, but it still won't protect you from offline. And there are ways where the wraiths can get over it. They have the ability to sort of climb vertical things. They don't quite fly, but they sort of glide around and are able to climb up things. So we got 9-leaf clover coming in on the griffin, and Be Fun there is checking out his place. So he's gone ahead and he's moved up to this fortress up here. We'll check that out in a second, but I wanted to show you basically the next progression that this all led me to. So I knew I had to go to stone, even though stone is not proof. It just gives me a little bit more time. And, I wanted to see if things could actually hurt it or not. So originally I had my thatch house in there, and then my simple house, my wood house. And then after I lost all my stuff, finally, well, 2 times it got destroyed, I managed to save my satchels. The 3rd time I was offline and came back and started from nothing. You can see there's a tree ant over here, an ant. Those guys are cool unless you harvest from stuff too fast, and then they'll do quite a bit of damage as well. But mostly they're pretty cool. Anyway, that's a tangent. So what I did with this stone house I wanted to share with you guys. And this, would also apply to PvP, because these guys are pretty harsh. You have to defend against them, and the same kind of defenses I'm doing here would be pretty valid in PvP with a few modifications. So basically, the wraiths have a very wide area of attack. So even with stone, which buys you a certain amount of time, you don't want to put anything valuable right next to the inside wall, because their scythe will just go right through it and break things in here. So what I did is, this game comes with triangle foundations, kind of like there are in Structures Plus. So you can make these sort of semicircular, not semicircular, but sort of circular foundations with the triangles and the squares. So I started in the center here with the triangle foundations, and then within this inner layer, so we got these concentric circles, or octagons, I guess. Or are they octagons? No, actually, well, this one's a hexagon. This one is a, whatever you call a 12agon. I used to know that. Anyway, so yeah, in this inner layer is where I've got my valuable stuff. So there's 2 layers of stone to get through. And then in here, I've got the workbench, which is like the smithy. I've got some large storage boxes. I've got forge. And I've got the magic workbench, which I can kind of jump up and click into. And then I've got my mortars and pestles right here. So I've got quite a bit of stuff stored in here, and I'm able to be pretty functional. Now, it's pretty small. I do like that I can stand in one place and access pretty much everything. So when I get in here with some stuff, I can definitely do the things I need to do. And I feel like I'm pretty safe in here. So this is one level of safety. Now the firm stuff, the stone stuff, you have to make here inside the workbench. It is a little difficult getting materials in here, because if I'm harvesting by hand, you know, I can run right in, but if I've got a creature, then I can only bring it up so far, and then I've got to sort of do the transfer myself and sort of walk it in. I'm going to upgrade that in the next version, which I'm about to show you in a minute. But if I was doing this PvP, I would probably do the addition of probably putting a bunch of doors. Let me see, that's in this one. I would do something like this, where if the invaders broke in from the side wall, then they'd also have all these little chambers that they'd have to break through as well. And you would put a door in each one of these, of course, and take them all the way up to the ceiling, so that everywhere you break into, you still have not gained access to the whole rest of the place, which this whole circular thing would do. So I would definitely recommend doing that. Let's put these away. A and D, by the way, are transfer and drop. So besides this setup, which I wanted to show you, this layout, the concentric rings of stone, which would give you quite a bit of safety. Although, like I said, it's not, you know, this stuff is only twice as good as thatch, so things will break through. It'll do quite a bit of damage. So there's something else you can do, and that's up here. I have it turned off for the moment, but this thing is, it says the house workstation, but in your inventory, it is the house seal, and you don't have to get very far to get there. Over here in knowledge, it's over here in house, in architecture. And so it's just rank 1. All you got to do is join or create a house, and you're probably going to be in rank 1 already. And then you make this, you'll get up to rank 2, and then you can make a war flag. So what this is, this house seal, and you have to craft it at the workbench, or house workstation if you look at it here, or storage box in its inventory, is you fill it with magic essence, and it burns one of these, I think, about every half hour. I'm not sure, but oops, I should have stayed in there. If you activate it, you get this big tech force field around you, and it's only 1 diameter. That's it. It definitely takes away from the aesthetic of the build. But, you know, when we first put this up, we thought that it would be a force field and keep things out. So we lured some mobs over, and they were able to walk right through it unhindered. And we're like, oh, this thing doesn't work. But what it actually does is it keeps them and other tribes from being able to damage your building parts. So they can get in, but they can whack on this stuff all they want, and they're not going to break as long as that thing's turned on. Now, if you're in PvP, they can throw down a house flag, and that declares war sometime in the next 12 hours, I think, or 12 hours from then. I'm not sure exactly how that mechanic works. But in the meantime, as long as it's up and all the time, with mobs, with the wraiths, reapers, with the skeletons, everybody, is that you've now made your building materials impervious to harm. At least most of them. I did have a wraith attack this place once since I had this thing up, and it attacked from this side, and what it damaged was the bed. I've got a bed up here and a campfire. So you can see this is down to 550 out of 1,000. So it was able to damage the bed inside here. And the other thing I registered damage on was this, my reviving altar. So beds are not a spawn point, but reviving altars are. And you can see it's at 3750 out of 5,000. This thing, on the other hand, only has 100 durability, but I didn't see it take any damage. I don't know if it's because they don't take damage or because I've had it farther in the center. And I don't know if these things take damage because they're bugged or because that's intended, you know, as a weakness for PvPers or mobs to be able to break your ability to sleep and to revive. And I don't know what effect they would have on the chests and stuff. If those are impervious or not, I need to do some testing on that. But in the meantime, what I'm doing is just keeping them in the center away from the outside. So, taking this concept, and actually, I'm going to show you what I'm building next, but just real quick, let me grab one of my creatures up here. Bfun and Rimtus and Kimmy built a stable up here. Oop, guess I can't go that way. Still a little buggy walking on slopes. A lot of things are buggy, but I'm still having enough fun with this game that I'm patient enough for them to fix stuff. So they do have a house seal for this place, but they don't have it on at the moment. And it takes multiple ones, obviously, to do this. But these guys are Kibos or Kodos, depending what part of the bestiary you read. And then over here, I've got a kind of low-level panther and a unicorn. And I've got a two-headed vulture on the roof. But so far, this guy... Where's my grinder? He's in the back. Okay, got grinder out. And also, I just want to show you this. I haven't made it yet, but this is the first level gate here. So I just ranked up to that, and we'll be using that in the next thing I'm going to show you. So just remember what it looks like. But this guy I'm riding, I wanted to show him to you. The animation from this direction is pretty bad. It's not as bad in that view. But these guys are really helpful in grinding for this stuff, because they can grind wood and they can grind, if I can get it, stone. I got 103 with that bite. So making stone, or making any of this stuff, is actually quite a grind. So, and we're on 4 times, and it's a grind. So I pity folks that are on official, because that's just too much. I encourage you to get on an unofficial as quick as possible, because even 4 times is quite a grind. So having a beast to help that can harvest stone is really good. And there are other tames that I think may be even better for stone. Like I heard of Bahamut, which I haven't even seen yet, is the thing for stone. This guy is more like the Anki, more like a pickaxe, because he gets a bunch of sulfur from the stone as well. But anyway, these are pretty handy, and I have lost quite a few tames. I've lost more than I have for sure right now. And so you need a good stable to put them in. That one obviously is getting pretty tight, so I need my own. So this is sort of my design for the next level base that's still going to be protected. And oh, look, we have a light elemental in there. Hello, ma'am. How you doing? Looking lovely today. So this I have sketched out with these framework foundations, or sometimes they're called virtual. They're low-cost, very psychedelic version of the building parts that let you lay them out and kind of test what you're going to do before you invest a bunch of materials, because you can't pick up parts in here, but you can use these. I wish I could just leave it like this. It's probably not very good for my frame rate, but it sure does look pretty cool. So anyway, the elements that went into designing this are, I was trying to figure out the biggest thing that I could fit inside of this house seal that would be protected. Now I may be able to go out one more. Let's see what that looks like. Let me see. Actually, it's over here on my primary belt. Now see, if I put those down, they just stick out a little bit. So I might put some materials out here just as a buffer layer to get beat on, but they just protrude slightly. And I made a point of putting the house seal right in the center. So this basically is a radius of 4 foundations, or a diameter of 8. Is about as big as you can get and still be able to have everything protected. So you are welcome. You can hang out anytime you want. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you though before I put the stone down, because I wanted to show you these framework parts, which come after thatch and wood for some reason, or shabbiness and simpleness. But I'm happy when they come, because then you can do that. These are supposed to be very weak. They have a durability of 50 or lower for the most part, but these I guess are bugged, actually have a durability of 15,000. So we might leave the little triangle parts just as little psychedelic view windows until they fix that and lower their durability again. And I have tested that these ones are not invincible, invulnerable with the house seal. We had a panther over here that did this with the house seal on. So these ones, it doesn't apply, just like there are some things like beds and revivals spawn points that are also vulnerable. So the thing I'm going to do with this one, though, last bit of design I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to build it and I'm going to bring it back and show you the finished thing, is that I want my dinos to have a way in, because I don't want to do that Baywatch thing of carrying stuff in. And that to me is sort of the litmus test of whether a builder actually plays the game or not. If someone builds a cute little thing, but there's no way to get your dinos to your workshop and your storage and all that, then obviously they're not really playing the game, or else they just have a lot of patience, because you need to be able to load directly off of these guys in place so you can get overburdened and be able to transfer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a gate on the side here somewhere, and then this is going to be sort of a roundabout. It's a little funny there because there was this one spot where it clips into that hill and I can't put a wall. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I wish they would disable collision on here, but basically I'm going to be able to bring dinos and creatures in and then go around, and all my workbenches and my storage are going to be in the center. So if I could tell you anything today, it's about house seals, it's about the durability of the different tiers of stuff. Now there are further tiers beyond here that I have not gotten to, and I don't know if I'm going to get access to all of them. Over here in architecture, there's human manor, elven manor, dwarven manor. As an elf, do I only get access to elven manor? I don't know. But there's a whole nother level of parts here that we're going to get. So I'll see. And then there's manor framework here. Oh, that's just like the psychedelic parts to help place these. So I suspect I'm going to do the elven manor at least. And how much stronger it is, I don't know yet. No one in here has gotten there yet. And then the third thing, anyway, I would emphasize is that putting your precious stuff towards the middle so that Grim Reaper's scythe, when it swings through here, won't break your chests. And I will do testing at some point to see if they can break them. But anyway, at this point, I'm not going to take the risk. So that's all that. That was the whole progression that I went through in my 44 hours of this as this guy. Luckily, our dwarves over on the other side of the map have not had this problem at all. Nothing's attacked the house over there that I know of. But yeah, I've gone from thatch to wood to stone to seals to this thing. So let me put it together. It'll probably be a few hours, or if not the next day, when I bring it back, and I'll show you what I've done. Alright, coming back in with another load of materials. I got my anti-gravity spell on so that I can carry more stuff with Kibo the Grinder in tow. And let me show you what I've done. Well, the sun's about to go down, but this is what I've done so far. You can see I've got the whole thing filled in with stone. I left a few framework foundations. They say ceilings, but they're not. They're actually the foundations, just to leave it fancy. And I've got it 4 high so far on the inside. And then let me go ahead and turn this off for a second so you can see what it looks like without it. So from the outside here, you can see that that's what it looks like so far. Just a big stone cylinder, basically. I've got the gate on it here. We've done some testing, and again, this is an exercise in just making a secure base that's as big as you can get inside one of these house seals. So up here, we put one more, 5 is still totally within, 6 is penetrating it but not totally out, and then 7 is totally out. And we did some experiments, And if I get an arrow right here, let's see. And, well, this one I can hit with my hand, but I'll go ahead and shoot an arrow. You can see that it's not taking any damage. That one that's partly out. So the ones that are totally in, obviously, don't take any damage. The ones that are, if they're partially in at all, they don't take any damage. But then this one up here, that's totally out, if we take a look at it, you can see that it's taken some damage. It's missing 3 of its HP. So that's kind of the rule. So I can go 6 high on that outside perimeter and still be totally impervious to damage. And then here, we did some coming out just to test. So this one, I gotta crouch to hit it. This one is totally impervious. This one, right here, is not. So, and it's totally out. So I could technically have gone out one more in my perimeter. The thing is that the terrain won't let me. It's not flat enough to be able to do that. I filled in this little area right here just so I wouldn't have this little crevice for things to get stuck. So anyway, I'm going to take it one more level. I'm going to bring you in and show you that so that you'll see it. I'm going to basically put a second story at the 4 building height level. So I'll have this area down here that's as high as the gate and is hopefully tall enough for any creature that I can bring in here. And then up above with this ramp here, I will have a ceilinged off space for the next floor, and that will be too high. So it'll be extra parking for some of the smaller dinos. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bring you back. And there's also this one thing I didn't show you before, is how to make the magic essence for the shield. So I need quartz sand, which you grind from rocks, and then sulfur powder, which you grind from sulfur, obviously, and then gunpowder. And then those things you can go ahead and make bottles with. So I'm just going to make 1 or 2, so it doesn't take too long. But I could make 24 from a full stack of each of those. So they're fairly expensive. Each one of these in the end is going to last half an hour, and you don't get the bottle back. And you got to fill those with water. There is plumbing, but I haven't brought it in here yet. Quickest way I found to fill them is you stand in water, and then you right click to use things in your inventory, and you fill them up. So usually I have like 100 in there, and I fill them all up at once. And then you take them over here to the magic workbench, and then you can go ahead and put those bottles in there. And then in one of these folders, I don't know the folders yet, there, you can make magic essence. And so it just uses your water bottles and, let's see, 1 glass bottle and 10 magic shards. And it crafts those in there, and then you just put them in your house seal. All right, I'm going to finish up, and then I'll show you what I did. So there it is. Nothing too crazy, but almost the biggest stone base that I can fit within the safety of the radius of the house seal. You can see they're popping up all over the place, but it's the way you gotta go here in Dark and Light. Whether you're in PvE or PvP, because stuff wants to wreck you. So I kind of like that challenge, and yeah, so you can see that I managed to get a little bit more on the top of it here. Let's go ahead and park this noisy guy. I'm not going to be able to leave it here all the time because it just can be too noisy. It hears me talking about it now, or they do, so they're being a little quiet. There it is. But yeah, so we got a little what do you call this up on top, and I'll probably go higher with the tower. That part will not be protected, but since I am on PvE, I don't have to worry too much about that. I don't think there's any mobs they're going to get that high. Even on PvP, I would probably do it just to have a little lookout tower, a little sacrificial part of the base. Even if people knocked it down, it wouldn't get them inside. And so let's take a look at the rest of it. So down here through this little hatch frame, we've got the second floor, and this can fit all of the smaller creatures. So I got plenty of parking up here for a bunch of stuff until I get too many and the frame rate gets too laggy. And down here, plenty of room for taller creatures, and then of course my little workshop in the middle here. So again, the reason that these guys are in the center is because a lot of this stuff does take damage. We were experimenting on this guy, and you can see, look, he's at 984 because you can punch him and it does damage even with the house seal on, whereas this will not. So it is selective. I don't know if that's intended mechanic or not. It does make sense to keep some stuff vulnerable and some stuff not. And then, you know, there's a whole house flag mechanic for declaring war and stuff on PvP and all that. If this was PvP, I probably would have put another wall, another inner ring right here, just so there was like 2 layers to break through, plus with the little cross doorways or whatever, just to make it sort of honeycombed and harder to break into. And let's just turn this off for a second so you can see what it looks like without the force field on. So yeah, it's not too bad. Definitely built again with function over form. I could have brought this lower level out, 1 more foundation and a couple building parts high if I had more flat ground. And there is not too many places on the map that have a lot of flat ground. I guess I could have put it on pillars to do that. But anyway, it is what it is, and it's a pretty big space for me solo to be able to feel safe and secure and not have to be wiped back down to the Stone Age again by those Reapers. So let's take another look from the rock from above without the force field on. Get a final take on it. If I can get up here. And ladders are a little bugged. Welcome to early access. There we go. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope you learned a little bit. Just me sharing my evolution of from thatch to stone and the house seal. There is a couple building levels above this. The metal level is called the ruggedized level, and I haven't gotten to that yet. So this could be metal. We'll see how much more HP the metal would add. So I'll get there, and then the manners that come after that, I have no idea. But this is what it is. So yeah, now I don't have to fear the Reapers. So that's going to be good. And with a nice solid base in place, not having to worry about that, I can now safely explore a lot of the other stuff in the game. There's so much stuff, so many creatures, so many spells and things to learn and to show you. So yeah, it's a peek into the life of my elf. Please share all the comments and suggestions and contributions you have, and maybe I'll incorporate them next time. But in the meantime, this is Monkey Puzzle. Thank you for watching until the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.